a lot to Salesforce for having this amazing conference here in San Francisco, and also, of course, inviting us on the stage. We have this presentation, but also afterwards, we have another presentation looking more on the business side. Here we have some time for demo and a lot of questions, so go ahead. I'm talking about connected devices to enable new business models because Bosch, as a technology leader and solution provider, is taking on the journey in the internet. And that's why we discuss here with Salesforce how we can leverage this future together. I don't know whether I have to show the safe harbor.
Well, I might have to talk about it. Everything here, if you're going to buy things, base it on products that are currently available. This is available, of course, on our website. So if you are really interested in knowing what the safe harbor statement is, please go ahead on our website.
Okay. So that's the official disclaimer. Yeah, Bosch is a leading international supplier, automotive solutions and pieces. So every car basically on planet Earth has a piece from Bosch. Probably you know this already. What's not so much known is that we are also strong positioned in industrial technology, everything that's on the shop floor, logistics, and so on. The third area, consumer goods, probably you know much better. Home appliance, dishwashers, power tools. Anybody has something from Bosch at home? Please raise your hand. Yeah, okay. You're a good citizen, you can stay here. And the last area, not that well known too, is our security technology and heating and building divisions, energy and building. We are European biggest heating supplier. Most airports, also probably here in San Francisco, feature these nice cameras. And believe it or not, they are internet connected. So in all these cases, we have products out which already have internet connectivity. You see this self-driving car on the left-hand side, and Google, Tesla are our best customers here in California for this technology. This is very close to where I live in Ludwigsburg, just around the corner. Of course, they are connected. But we also offer for leasing companies and fleets connected vehicles to manage their whole fleet in an online manner. In industrial technology, this is this space, the second one I show you later, a demonstration. And in consumer goods, if you have been at CES, beginning of this year, you saw the introduction of our connected households. So this is online. And you see this online business is also hitting old-fashioned players like Bosch. And just to give you some number about Bosch, our total turnover last year was 48 billion euros with 360,000 associates, 150 countries with 223 manufacturing and 94 engineering locations. We have more than 45,000 engineers. Among those are, and I've always amazed myself, 15,000 software engineers. So overnight we became a software company. It just took some years. Well, beside these impressive numbers, Bosch is a very humble company. You don't hear so much in the press. We are not so much in the news, and this is on purpose. The reason is we are not stock listed. We are owned by a foundation, and our policy regarding charity is very simple. 92% of our profit goes to charity work, so that's the foundation taking all the money. So inventing a new business model, actually this business model has been in place since Robert Bosch, the founder of the company, died. In his will, he's proposed it that this goes to charity. So this is an important slide for me, and I explain you why. Because with this slide, we convinced the Bosch board in 2008 to invest in Internet of Things, exactly that one. Why you need such a slide? Well, you have to be a storyteller to convince executives to do things different than in the past. And we told a very logical and simple story, that the internet started connecting documents. You see on the left-hand side, computers lying around, different computer systems. At that time, it was very difficult to get a Unix computer talk to a DOS computer or a CPM machine. Remember that one? Probably not. Yeah, and the big invention of HTML, the browsers, you see Netscape there also, being online with RL and CompuServe at that time, and Cisco powering this internet as an early adopter, this was the phase. Also very interesting is that some Bosch executive discussed on the first CeBIT, Cisco was in Germany showing off whether they should buy Cisco or not. And there was even an offer on the table. And I'm pretty sure if Bosch bought Cisco, they wouldn't have been that successful like they are now. So, so the next phase was bringing commerce to the internet. You see Amazon there, eBay. It needed also more technology. You need to interact with the internet if you want to buy something or make a transaction. And then Java, XML came up and some other technology that fueled that wave. The wave we are currently in, Web 2.0, the social web, had two ingredients, pushing things like with Salesforce to software as a service, but also the peer-to-peer economy. It started actually with Napster. Everybody can share with anybody, no authority in between. Though they're not there anymore, they broke this pattern up. And you see this, of course, now with Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere. So you see this gray box. This box is a game changer for Bosch because these areas before internet, we were not impacted that much. Yes, we have a website. You can, of course, order things online, but the products were always the same. And we believe now it changes our product portfolio. Now every Bosch product will be part of the internet. It will come as a service. And this changes not only technology, but also the business model. And this is a slide we have from Professor Fleisch. In 2010, we decided, hey, this business model thing is something Bosch does not understand that well. And we were used to sell pieces and get dollars back. So that's our business model. Many pieces, so you can, for example, buy 2 million sensors we produce every day. Out of these 3,000 product categories, or we have 20,000 of engine control units we produce every day. So it's a scaling business. But in order to understand what it means to do new business models in the internet, we started an innovation lab at the University of St. Gallen. ASG is a short acronym for that. They purely work with PhD students, with 10 of them, to build startups and invent new business models for the Internet of Things. And I tell you, we got very decent people there. They would never have shown up in our sites, but at the HSG they do. And this is very simple. You have a thing, you have IT and hardware and software embedded into this thing. This is typically with all the products today. You have embedded software. You don't see the software that well. In many cases, we even want to hide it from you. Like if you're driving a car and the ESP system is helping you to stay on the road. Of course, we don't tell you that we are braking 50 times each wheel. So why should we? We keep you on the road, that's all you need. There's one lamp flashing telling you you were a little bit too fast. So this is what you see from the software. But there's a lot of engineering work behind. But in this case, it's even more than 1,000 engineers working for a couple of years to provide this software. But it's really embedded in both sense. You don't see it, you just experience it's working. If it's not working, well, then you experience it. But this is something we are, with defect-free software, pretty good. On the business side, though, this functionality is always local, and the business model usually is known. It's a traditional business model in that area. Maybe it's leasing, mostly it's selling. Well, that's it. But if you go to the internet, you go global right away, and you're not so much bound to the physics, to the investment of that anymore. It's rather sharing, it's rather optimizing, having local information in a global context. And this usually always requires a new business model. Because if you add the cost of connectivity, if you add the cost of cloud services, hey, Salesforce is not that cheap, is it? You need somebody to pay for that. And this requires a new business model and also new advantages from that. And the simplest example is you have a car, you go from A to B, but you really have to own the car? No. What you want the service. And around this, there's a new ecosystem building up, and we're also active in that you have automatic emergency calls once the airbag is released. You have local-based services, parking services around. We have even the idea that if you park the car somewhere, you can get some of the repair work done while you're parked, because the car is waiting anyhow. So these are the services coming up. And Uber and Nest, I think, are pretty good examples from that. And Uber has been discussed here quite a lot. So in 2008, we also discussed what is the value chain, and where is Bosch positioning in the value chain. And this was also a picture coming out from that time. That, of course, first of all, we have to make the things smart in terms of they need internet connectivity. This was a revolution by itself, because up to then, within Bosch, every division, every product group had its own protocol. They had CAN bus, they had a bus for connecting a fire alarm sensor, another bus for cameras, one for heating systems, I don't know, about 80 different bus systems within the Bosch group. And now we tell them, it's all gone away, and there will be only internet. They left us, yeah, I tell you. But I think nowadays they understand much better. But internet also comes in different flavors. It doesn't only comes with Ethernet and Wi-Fi, but also Zigbee, Bluetooth, and all these different protocols. So overall, it's very polyglot what we have there. We somehow have to integrate it. But we believe that there will be a horizontal platform that integrates all these different bits and pieces. Today we build silos of applications, so you get an application for mobility that's just for cars. Then you have another application that's for energy. Yeah, damn, if you have an electric car, you're either on the energy side or on the automotive side, so you can decide. And you see this today also, the electricity company building applications for mobile cars, and for electric cars only, and the other one building for traditional cars. But this interlinkage doesn't work. And that same is true also in production. If you talk about production, you need logistics. And logistics is transport, it's mobility again. So this interlinkage, particularly the innovation, is at this border of these traditional boundaries. So this platform helps that each device can be used in any business processes. Doesn't matter in which domain it is. And then also we think that innovation is coming up from there. Yeah, on the top then there's the services and applications, which usually come then in a new form of business model too. Yeah, so why is Salesforce and Bosch now shaping up, working together? Well, Salesforce is pretty clear leader in everything that's related to CRM, marketing, bringing the sales and marketing organization closer to customer, organizing all the data from account information, opportunities, and so on. And within Bosch Software Innovation, we are using Salesforce for a couple of years already. So we're never going to build such a system. Why should we? So we rather integrate our technology with such a system. And what's the reason for that? Well, it gives, if you integrate the things into a sales system, it gives the sales force the opportunity to see customer products online. And online means every second. You not only have the email address, you do not have the last meeting notes and last offer or whether you won the deal, but you see how they're really doing with the products. You see this later in a demo how we do this. In this new business model area, it's also important to understand, is this business model flying? If you have pay-per-use models and you get the information only end of the month, there's not enough time to react. But what we get here with this online connection between our platform and Salesforce is up to the second information about how much you sold. And whether the customer is a good customer, do you have to sell up, do you have to change the sales process, or even change the business model. Yeah, on the other hand, you also see our Bosch IoT Suite, which is much more targeting at in the domain-specific processes, like in the case you see later in demo for factories, for automotive, for your home, which is something you as a customer would touch and feel closer, or as a user, and you see later this is a professional user in a factory. So this is how we link up, and very funny, this linkage here, this small arrow, is actually that small. When we prepared this demo later on, one of our engineers in Berlin, Stefan Witschel, got a, I think, half-day's training on Force.com and Salesforce, and then he planned for 2 days of integration. Well, actually, in the morning he started, and before he went to dinner, lunch he finished already, and then he was just walking around in Berlin and telling, I planned for this 2 days, and I don't know what to do anymore. Of course, he improved the demo on that. So you can see that connecting platforms today is not any science anymore, as long as you work on REST or SOAP interfaces, even if it's really with physical things. And that's the main reason we put these things up to this platform layer, that you do not have to take care about all these different protocols, all these different ways you can integrate things. If this really nicely abstracted, and we have an open source project for that, that's called Vorto, that even shares the semantics of this abstraction, then you can build rapidly applications. And today, building an application in the space of M2M usually means an investment of half a year, 5 engineers, $500,000 usually, and with that we do not scale in Internet of Things. We scale if it's just like an app development. I have an idea, connecting this and that, see how it's working, and if you do this in a couple of days, that's exactly where we want to go. Yeah, and I think Salesforce helps a lot to speed up this process. Yeah, now we come to our show, a real show here on stage. We have only 3 actors today. I start with the lady, of course. On the left-hand side, you see, what's your favorite name for a salesperson? Larissa. Larissa, the salesperson. She loves Salesforce. Anybody in the room loves Salesforce too? Using every day? Okay. She's a Salesforce addict. So she works for a company that does not sell these power tools anymore. So she's selling as pay-as-you-go or pay-as-per-use model. So it's 10 cents per each fastening activity. Pretty cool. If you don't use the tool, it doesn't cost you anything. If you use it heavily, you yourself as a customer have turnover because you produce more things. It's just the supplier sharing part of your profit. In this arena, compared to what you have in your own, this is a 10,000 euro equipment piece, so it's a little bit more heavy and also a little bit more sophisticated than what you have in your home because it's measuring torque, it's sending information backwards to a server. Why is that? We use these tools to fasten real important things, something like jet engines, car engines, and you don't want these engines to be jumping out of your car while you're on the road. That's why we take care that you have a green light once you've finished each tightening process, or a red light if it's not okay. We can even record this back, and even if a judge later asks us, did you do this right? We can prove, we have a record, this was the torque, we finished the screw up. So this is why the quality of the tightening process is an important ingredient. That's why it also makes sense to look at this business model. Yeah, so this is one of our actors on the show, the next door nut runner for real man. And now I come to the guy in the middle, the user. And the people here at Salesforce told me they are very much with personas. And if you do UX, you really have to feel it. Well, of course, we also have a user experience group. But what I did this time, I went to the repair shop next door, and I told them, hey, give me your equipment. And this I got on Monday to show up here like Bob. So I'm Bob, the guy in the middle, taking care of that everything is tightly fit. And as safety and security is an important thing for Bosch, we do this everywhere. I need this also. Another thing we had is, though Christian, my colleague from Berlin, and I were together here, he could not fit in a real car engine into our suitcase. So this is something we got yesterday in the hardware shop, just done for Salesforce here, and then we can show you that the 4 screws are put in here nicely. So we now use this tool to get these screws in. And what's very typical is that, like you see Bob, he's doing this a couple hours per day. It's a repetitive process, and you get tired with that, and you need guidance, and simple guidance is also important. So in this case, we get this piece in. You see this green light here, and this means everything is all right. This has been sent now to Salesforce Cloud. Hopefully it's already there. You see later. And if he's maybe a little bit tired and he accidentally takes the same screw again and starts again, it immediately recognizes that the torque is not like it should be in the beginning. It sees already it's tight. So it's a red light here. And then I can go to the next. And this is green again. So this is the process you see in the factory. And the people who take care that the quality is correct, of course, they don't have time to go through all the lines and see that everybody is doing his job right. So that's why we have set up a Cockpit Chart, which allows to see exactly this information. You see this green and red bars down there? It was exactly each time a light was coming up. That's that. So you see there are some processes in the back that were not okay, so a test. These were just the last 3 I made. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong time zone. It's a German time zone. And we can even look into how this really was working. Here you can see that in the beginning the torque was very low. Down there is the angel, and the top is the torque. And then in the end I had a peak of a torque. And I can even zoom in here. So, and this is within the limits. So we know from statistical information what kind of limits you have, whether it's tight or not tight. And if it's out of that, it also gets red. So if a judge comes 10 years later, we can still prove with this record the engine was tight. So this was not a problem. And we have to keep these records anyhow. Of course, you can do a lot of more analytics. I don't want to show you box plots and things like that. I think you're more interested in how you make money out of that. And now we switch to Larissa in Salesforce. Where's Salesforce? Here. I have to get off my Bob costume again. So in this case, you are very much interested not to sell the power tool, but rather to sell the processes. The more people use the tool, the more money you make. And here I show you exactly. So in this case, I'm in the Salesforce under the Account Opportunities Case Reports dashboard. There's another tab. It's called NutRunner. So this is the space of the things associated to an account and to people there. When I clicked on this, exactly this NutRunner, and you see the battery status, 73%. It's 10 cents per fastening cycle. That's the total turnover I made until now. And the cycles are in there. And oh, you see this here. It did 50,000 in just one of these cycles. So we set this up before the demo that it was 49,999. So with this demo, we crossed the 50,000 border. And this usually means, by regulation, that you have to do maintenance. Yeah, and you really see that Salesforce automatically generated a task to do a case to make a maintenance date to set this up. So now we can send out the field service to do the maintenance, to schedule a date, and so on. And this is all recorded in Salesforce. And you even have the linkage to the concrete NutRunner. So if you have something like 50 or hundreds of them, you exactly know which one need maintenance and which one doesn't. Well, that's not all. Of course, if you look at the dashboard, these are two companies having this NutRunner, and I see the total revenue. And of course, you know see the total revenue within Salesforce, but this one is accurate up to the second. So every time I have a new fastening process, the revenue goes up. So this really means you are connected with your customer. And you see that the other customer here has a little bit lower revenue. This one is a little bit higher. So you can think about how do I do upselling or so. I can also drill down. I can see here the cycles that was done. So now I cannot go back. Where's the back key? Here. And I see even how many percentage of usage is there with this customer. So 53% of the time we plan to have a shift, this NutRunner is used. And then can you ask yourself, actually, maybe I should call the customer. Is he not happy with the tool? Is his process that way? Is his production lower? What's the reason behind that he's not using our tool more often? And then we have also one transaction which is higher than 100%. Is it in here? Christian, it's down here, isn't it? This one? Yeah, okay. Where do I see the percentage now? It's gone. Here. Is the percentage number somewhere here? No, it's 10% probability. Here. Salesforce setting up an upselling opportunity because this NutRunner was used more than 100%. So that means that probably people are sharing this one and or using it over time. So maybe I would be able to sell more pay-per-use, more cycles, more fastening processes if I would add another NutRunner to this facility. So that's probably worth a call and saying, hey, do we need another NutRunner? I have a chance to make more money with that. And it's exactly just done with the numbers you have in there. So you see, combining the physical world with the virtual world is really helpful. Because nowadays, you always need people to enter data in the computer, what you have from the physical world, and also the other way around. If you have something in the computer, you need a person to make this physical. And here, there's no linkage in between. So the physical process and the virtual world, they fit together. It's always synchronized. And if you work in production and see how this synchronization works today, I tell you, a lot of factories, they print paper of processes. And then there's one poor guy in this factory who has to enter the data in SAP. This usually means he waits until the end of the day, a stack of paper, and then he's typing in the data. And then you later see, damn, why do they ship so many of these things just in 5 minutes? And the whole day before they do nothing. Because the process is not really aligned with the physical world, it's not really linked to the virtual world. With this here, you're always accurate up to the second. It's always on, always there. And we believe that not only this business model, but also a lot of improvement, if you just let some innovative people working on that, can come from that. So this is the value bringing our Bosch IoT Suite and Salesforce platform together. So there's one more topic I want to cover. Having all this online, of course, raises the question, what do you do with the data? Trust and security is the key enabler and prerequisite to make this happen. In particular, in the factory space, the people who run and own a factory, they have a fence around the factory. You see, the fence is not only physically there, it's also virtual there. There's a huge firewall around. If other companies are providing goods and data, this comes in paper, not really through Ethernet. And opening this up is a prerequisite for that. And I think with technology that's supporting trust and security and privacy in a strong way, we can win these customers too. And I think Salesforce has proven that cloud business can be a trustful and secure business. And the same is also true for Bosch. We invest a lot in safety, security, reliability. This basically bound so much to our brand that we also want to leverage this in Internet of Things. And this story is even more true for IoT use cases. Because with this information, you can see how much are you producing. So you can find out how your customer or some others can find out how much you're producing, make estimates about your own turnover. Yeah, this technology behind is actually there. I think we have to just let our engineers use the newest technology and allow them to build trustful systems. This requires also investment. So that's why Internet of Things without trust is probably no business at all. And we are ready to provide this technology for that. But it also requires that people who are on the partner network share the same understanding of that. And I think Salesforce and Bosch are very much aligned. There's some other companies in the space where we have our doubts whether this is really a trustful relationship also concerning the data. Yeah, so this finished my talk and my small demo. So I have to admit I was not Larissa herself, but I think Bob is something I can play. And now we have still a lot of time for questions and Q&As, and I also have more slides if you want to have more details, but we rather drive this from your questions.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic. That was great. I was waiting that you would change into a skirt.
Okay. Yeah, maybe next time.
So I'll put it onto the crowd or the audience in a minute, but I just wanted to ask a question. You saw, like, in the initial slide, you talked about how Bosch has transformed itself as a company. What are the challenges you have seen from a traditional business to suddenly moving away from products to pay as a service? Because that's what's happening in this whole industry. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, the transformation is very difficult because you are? No, I'm still there. Okay, that's also okay. This transformation is very difficult because it's not only that you change your technology a little bit, but if you change the sales process, you change the business planning, you have to change basically the whole company. You transform the company. The good thing is within Bosch that we went through, we are 128 years old now. We went through this transformation before. So we were a small workshop in the early days, and we scaled up internationally. And the last transformation we did coming from mechanical work to electricity and embedded software. So this was done by our executives, which are still in the company. And I still remember Mr. Scholl, he was driving this to electronic control units, this business. And when he was listening for this Internet of Things stuff the first time, he said, oh, this is a game changer. So we have to work outside the system, not inside the system, to make this successful.
So if there was one advice you would give organizations going through this whole transformation, what's the one key thing that one needs to understand?
You need the people who are willing to engage it and let them loose to really test these business models and give them some resources to play around. But you also have to have the courage to fail fast. If you stick too long on a topic which is not successful, like traditional companies usually do, then you're wasting too much energy on this path.
Fantastic. Questions?
Hi, Bill Schonger from Cisco. So first off, thanks for not buying us, so my stock options were worth something. Definitely appreciate that. One thing I was wondering is, you've got a lot of feedback from these industrial devices. Do you also leverage fog computing and other things? So at the edge, if there's an issue with the device, you're taking action on it proactively in the factories in those industrial settings or in automotive CAN buses and similar?
Yeah, the problem is we have more than 200 IoT projects in our company, and we basically cover everything. So predictive maintenance, big data analytics is also a topic. Today we showed just a very simple example where you can just show in just a few minutes that pay-per-use and this industrial technology go hand in hand, if you just think about it. But so the demo also in the keynote, we also with Cisco, also this augmented reality, these are all topics that we're also looking at and working on. And we already do this together with Cisco. We have a joint venture called Mosaic for Smart Home that we do together, and we also have several projects in the factory shop floor together.
Great.
Yes, sir.
I just want to get a little bit more detail about the technology involved. So how's the connectivity happening between Salesforce and your IoT platform? And also, could I just have a bit of an understanding of how the business model is working with the IoT platform? So is it a tenanted platform that you're going to allow customers to use, or how's that working?
Yeah, so I didn't talk so much about Bosch IoT Suite technology. It's built strongly on open source, so you find in there Linux, Eclipse, Apache, technology. It's built on Cloud Foundry as the enabler for elastic scaling. We also contribute to open source because we believe that we are building new roads, and if roads would just be there for Bosch products, these are pretty boring roads. So we want to have this opened up. That's why we're also partnering. And then the linkage to the Bosch IoT Suite to the cloud environment within Salesforce. In this case, it's just an HTTPS security channel set up, and then you have a REST, or you can also take a SOAP API. In this case, we're sending JSON events over this connection. And each JSON event is then put into Salesforce, into an event itself, stored there, and then continued. Of course, this won't work if you have millions of events, then you have to pre-filter. And usually we pre-filter already in the things. Either the things have enough intelligence that they just provide the information they need outside, or we have gateways in front, they do this, or we do this in our suite. But also you saw in the keynote yesterday, the IoT suite within, or the IT capabilities of Salesforce is also there to do complex event processing and to filter out events. That's the technology behind, but I can give you more information if you want to. This software is also free to buy, so you can come here and sell you a license. It will be ready for cloud deployment publicly next year. It's right now we use it only internally on a cloud environment.
Any more questions? Well, Stefan, thank you very much. It's been a fantastic session. I really appreciate you flying down from Germany just for this. Thank you. Thanks a lot.